Hello, in this video we will talk about how to create the ultimate 2D character controller script for your platformer game. First we will import our sprite in Unity and add box collider, rigid body and sprite render script to it, and then make a script of C# and open it. So this is our script and this opens in VS Code, and this is our code for which our movement, jumping and flipping is done. So first of all we have this normal update function. So first of all we have 4 variables, float variables, and 3 float and 1 boolean variable. Horizontal, which takes our horizontal input, our player speed, the jumping power, the force at which it jumps, and a boolean which checks whether the character is facing left or right. So it is set to is facing right equals true. That means it is always facing right. And then we have our serialized fields of rigid body, transform and layer mask, which has the rigid body component of the player, the ground check which acts as a ground check for the player, so that we don't jump in the air, we only jump when it is in the ground, and a layer mask of ground layer which shows which the player can interact with which as the ground. So the only the player can interact is with the ground for which we have tagged it. And in this void update function we get the access by left or right buttons, get access or horizontal, and then we check if there if we press the jump button, and at the same time it should be grounded, so that it is at the ground, it is touching the ground. So if it's so, and here is our is grounded function which checks the position and the ground layer. So the position should be overlapping with the ground layer, then only it will return true. And if it returns true, then means we can jump, and it adds the velocity and jumping power. It overrides the jumping power with the velocity so that the player could jump. And if the player is jumping and the velocity of y is greater than 0, then it increases the velocity at the air. And then there is a flip function which continuously checks whether we have if it is facing right and we have keyed left function, so then also it has to check every time. So if the player is facing right and if we press any left button, so it should update. So the flip function in that update always refreshes and checks for it. So in the flip function we check is facing right and horizontal, and and not facing right, which means it is if it is facing left and horizontal is less than, so both are the function of both equalizes to that the player is facing left. So this also means it is facing left, and this also means it is facing left. So the is facing right function is if it is true then it is false, and if it is false then it is set to true, and then the scale is multiplied with the negative value, -1, so that it inverts it, so that it rotates. So I'll show you this quickly. For example, this is our player, and if I just the x-axis, if I put -1, you can see it rotates. So 1, -1. So it should be clear that how the local scale rotation is working, local scale inversion is working more specifically. And then it is the normal fixed update function. In fixed update function we don't need the time.delta time function for smooth frame updates. It's just a better function to use for movements. So I think that should be it. it summarizes everything. So the movement script is in the description, you can download it from it as well. And one more thing, when you import it, then it will ask you 3 parameters. The first is RB, which is the rigid body, so you have to take this function and put it here. And ground check means one in the player you have to make a ground check, which it is the feet of the player, so that it should check that whether it is whether it is touching the ground. So you have to keep it inside the player component as a children, and you have to drag this ground check over here. My one is already there. And ground layer, so every ground you are having in your game, you have to select it and layer it as a ground. So you need to add a layer from here, add layer from here, whatever you can type. I have here ground, and then you are good to go. Just have it as a ground, and then you will get here option here. So my one was ground, I will select ground. That's it. Now you can play this game. The movement will be fine. So you can see there is no double jump, it only jumps when it touches the ground, and it also flips also. So that is it from my side. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you found it helpful, then please like it and consider subscribing. I'll post videos like this in future also, so make sure you stay tuned. So thank you.